What's up, job board fans? Chris Russell here from jobboardsecrets.com. Another interview today with a job board owner. I got my buddy Kyle Davidson on the line from GetOutdoorJobs.com and also Job Boardly. So he's got two businesses essentially. But we're going to talk today about his reverse job board, Get Outdoor Jobs, and also talk about the job board software as well. And Kyle, how's it going, man? It's great to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Good to see you too. Good to be here.
Excellent. Let me pull up the site here first while we can get going here. And you put out you're very transparent about your job board. I love that. You talk about your how it's doing, what you're making, the traffic, and you put an email around that, show the chart and everything, and that was really cool. Here is your
Thanks.
site. All right, so this is getoutdoorjobs.com. Kyle, describe the site for what's the niche here and talk about it.
Yeah, so Get Outdoor Jobs is a niche job board for jobs in the outdoor and travel industry. I used to work in the outdoor industry for about 12 years. So when I was choosing a niche, it was just something I was naturally really comfortable with. Like I have hired in the outdoor industry, I've worked in the outdoor industry. So yeah, for me, it made a lot of sense, and I enjoy it because it's a niche that I know and love.
Yep.
But yeah, like this is where you can find anywhere from tour guide positions to operations, customer service, anything in outdoor retail, travel, tour operations, that kind of thing.
Nice. And what was the job you had in this industry?
Oh wow, I had a long career. I mean, the main thing that I did for nearly 9 years, I owned my own tour company.
No.
Yeah, so we operated all kinds of adventure day tours out of mostly the East Coast of the United States. And um, I've hired, I don't know, hundreds of tour guides over nearly a decade.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the biggest, I always had this issue where I was always trying to find good tour guides. And so, funny enough, it was only after I sold my tour company that I'd made an outdoor job board, which I could have really used myself when I
Exactly.
was in the business.
Well, I love job board owners who come from their own space, who know their niche really well. And you're the perfect example of that, right? That deep knowledge in the industry. You know what you need, you know what the niche entails. And I just love that aspect of it. I think that just makes you, it just gives you a leg up on the other, your competition out there and things like that, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think like it goes for any business, right? I mean, job boards especially, but anything like it helps if you're interested in it or if you have some experience with it.
Yeah.
Not to say you couldn't start a job board in any niche, but
Right.
I kind of recommend if you are starting a job board, even if it's not your number one passion or whatever,
Mm.
it's better if you at least have some interest in it, right? Like something that you don't mind researching and looking at all the time.
Definitely. Now, the other thing that interests me about your site is it's a reverse job board, meaning job seekers pay for access to the job listings. Something that traditionally, years ago, was hard to do, but now things are changing. It's one of the trends I've seen in the last few years where job seekers are willing to pay for value, right? You're giving them value here by aggregating these job listings. So let's talk about your pricing model here. So you got subscribe to unlock. And let's see here. So $3 a week, $9 a month, or 29 bucks a year. Walk me through your pricing. Have you changed it at all? Did you play with it? Give me some sense around how you came up with those numbers.
Yeah, sure. Um, yeah, I kind of experimented in the beginning with a few different price points. I looked at some other paywall job boards in the industry, or just like, just around, and I noticed the weekly option I saw a few times, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. Like,
Mhm.
I've never personally, I don't remember subscribing to anything for a week at a time, but I saw it working, and actually, a friend of mine who has a also a reverse job board, he told me that his weekly subscription was pretty popular. So I said, okay, why not give that a try? And actually, funny enough, I mean, it is the most popular plan that people choose.
That was my question. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, people tend to go to $3 a week. I think they look at it like a paid trial, sort of, and
Yeah.
then later on, if they really like it, they might upgrade to monthly or annual. Um, but yeah, like for example, I mean, the annual pricing is significant. I mean, it's about 70% cheaper to go with
Yeah.
annual, but surprisingly, people really like the week. I think it's just, a little less commitment and you can kind of check it out and see if you like it.
So the order of the pricing there, is that the order of basically the top choices there? Is it basically most people get the 3 week and then some people get 9 month and then a few get the $29?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much, pretty much. I mean, interestingly that I originally I put it in order of just um, by duration, right?
Mm.
So like lowest duration to longest, but that happens to also be the order that is most popular as
Yeah.
well.
No, it's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
and
it's a great pricing model. I think you're giving them three options here, and they're all cheap, right? And so it's kind of a no brainer for a seeker in this space, I think, right?
yeah, yeah, and I mean, I was also skeptical. Like, could a paywall job board work? But I think the best way to think about it, in my opinion, is look, let's take newsletters for example.
Yeah.
You have tons and tons of paid newsletters, and usually there's a free version where you get either fewer frequency of issues or you get less of the content in the newsletter and you could subscribe to get all the content newsletter. I mean, Beehive really kind of democratized this completely, and now anyone can build a paywalled newsletter, and it's super popular, and a lot of brands do it, a lot of businesses do it, and that's why we created this feature for Jobboardly in the first place. But
Yeah.
like, I don't really see any difference as to why a user, if they're willing to pay for content in other um, spaces or industries or in different mediums, why not for jobs too? Because I mean, essentially, what we're doing here, what I'm doing with Get Out Their Jobs, is aggregating a massive list of outdoor industry opportunities and saying, look, like I did the work to find all these jobs, and you can have access to the entire database for one price. So yeah, it's surprising. Actually, people really will pay for it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go over some of your stats here. I got your email I printed out. So now this is essentially a side project for you, I assume, right? Because you're running Job Boardly as well and things like that. But
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
making $670. You made $673 in January, which is 18% more month over month growth. Your traffic was 2,400 unique visitors, down a little bit. You got your domain rating up to 16. I think I checked now. I think it's like it's over 20, isn't it now? 23 or something?
Actually, I have a crazy story which I'm happy to share, but it's
Yeah.
my domain rating jumped up to 43
43.
in the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk
I
about that. Yeah.
I scored
Uh,
a really awesome backlink, which I'll tell you about after.
yeah, definitely. Your newsletter, which has 4,000 subscribers, 4,097, and you send to that how often, Kyle?
Well, I send the newsletter once a month, which is, I'm ashamed to say, because I used to send it
Hmm.
weekly and
Yeah.
people loved it. I got a lot of really positive feedback about the newsletter. Because I also include some other just like fun stuff in there. But admittedly, I've gotten kind of lazy recently with the newsletter.
Gotcha. No, at least once a month is sort of my minimum. You got to touch those seekers and stay in touch.
Yeah.
What's in your newsletter? Can you just describe it for me if you could?
Yeah, so I include at the top usually just a really short blurb from me, just maybe something, if there's any updates to the site or something like that. Like, hey, I added, I've been working on getting more tour guide jobs, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll always include my top 5 picks, job picks of the month. So I basically just go through my own site and just choose 5 of my favorites that I think are, I try to choose, different,
Yep.
maybe one's a tour guide, one's operations, one's more like corporate style. So I choose 5 of my top featured jobs for the week, and then if anyone's paid for a job post that month, I will include them in there as well, obviously to get them a little more love.
Mhm.
And then I include always every month one of my favorite tweets that I've seen. That is usually just like I call it internet inspiration, and it takes me 5 minutes. I just go through my Twitter feed and I find something that that really speaks to me. Usually business related,
Mhm.
inspirational business stuff, which I like, and I include that. And then I include 3 just quick links to the top outdoor industry news. And again, I just do a quick Google news search. I look for 3 articles that I find interesting, and I include those there. And then that's pretty much it. There's really not much else to it. Sometimes I
Oh,
include um, a couple other little things, but that's the
no, I love
structure.
that. That's a great structure there for a newsletter. So anybody listening or watching can definitely follow that kind of a structure. I think is perfect. The newsletter itself here, is that a part of Jobboardly or is this a separate, MailChimp block or something, or is it integrated?
So this email capture block is
Oh,
Jobboardly that comes and you can move it around and that's something built into the platform.
gotcha.
Um, and then basically the way it works with Jobboardly is that by default those emails will be Jobworthy will send a weekly roundup of the jobs from your site
Mhm.
um, on autopilot.
Oh, okay.
So, and you can choose how many jobs you want
Mm.
to include in that. If you have a paywall, you might want to include fewer. If you don't, you can include more. Just like the number of jobs. The email itself is not customizable other than that, really, because it's
It's
an
kind of like a
automated
weekly. It's
email.
like a weekly job alert. Yeah, it sounds like.
It's
Yeah.
a weekly job alert,
Mm.
exactly.
Mm. Gotcha.
Because I just like to use all the features that we have and try different things, I send all my emails to Beehive where I run my newsletter. So for me, I kind of bypass that email capture, in other words, gets sent straight to my newsletter.
Gotcha.
And we have like an integration for that. So it's pretty
Gotcha.
easy to set up.
Yep. And you've got a Facebook group here, Outdoor Job.
Yeah.
How is that going? How useful is it for you? Give me some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I've been experimenting with this. It's starting to pick up a little bit. I have like close to 500 members now, I think.
Hmm. Or
Yeah, like,
75.
oh, yeah, yeah, which is pretty good.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think with Facebook groups, it depends on the niche, right? But like for something like this, I think it takes close to 1,000 members before you're really starting to get
Yeah.
activity in there.
It
Um,
seems like too Facebook is really Facebook group traffic used to be really good. I think lately it's not that good in terms of just the amount of space they give it on the algorithm feed. Um,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
lately they've tamped that down a bit as far as the reach goes.
I think you're right. Honestly, this Facebook group has not been a huge success. Like I can't I have other Facebook groups that do pretty well. Like for
Mhm.
example, the job worthy one does really well, but like
Yeah.
um this one's been pretty slow going. I've even thought about kind of pivoting away from that, but I mean, people join, and so I figure I'll just let it ride for a little longer. I just want to get to 1,000 members and kind of see. I mean, my idea is, if I can build other resources related to the outdoor industry, and just like people connecting and stuff, that it can ultimately just help
Yeah,
in the long run.
you could use it to curate some more news, maybe even like it could be a part of your job listing, like another bullet point for the value for the employer. Hey, also exposure to our Facebook group audience as well, when you post a job, things like that. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think good
That
to
was my
have, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was my original idea was, okay, if we can get, kind of the community together in some place people can share, and also I can post some of our, yeah, featured jobs in there and get them a little more exposure. But
Yep.
it's remained pretty small.
Yep. Now, how many paid job postings? What's your revenue so far? 673. Is that all seekers? Is it any employers posting jobs? Give me some thoughts on that.
Yeah, last month actually, so that 673, the revenue for January included one job post, I believe. Um, and I charge
Charge 159.
150, yeah, 159 for a job post.
Gotcha. Very good.
So
Mhm.
yeah, like I think with the paywall, what I've noticed is that you do tend to get fewer job posts, I feel, with paywall, just
Yeah.
from what I've seen. I think employers maybe are just a little less willing, thinking that they're not going to get the exposure that they ordinarily would. So when you're choosing a paywall job board, I feel that you are a little bit choosing between,
Mm.
you still might get job posts, and I do, but I got more job posts when I was just a non-paywall job board.
Right.
But for me, it was worth the trade-off because
Mm.
I really like the recurring revenue
Yes.
and I like the paywall model. It's like, I don't know, for some reason, I just like it.
Yeah.
So it's fun for me. I think I just have more fun. And you want to enjoy what you're doing, right? Like I have more fun working on my job board with the paywall. So I've made that choice, but it's important to note that like I think, and this is not 100% proven or anything, but I think you get fewer job posts when you're a paywall job board. But you're choosing your monetization, so it's okay,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and also when you do a paywall like this, you're giving less content to Google, so you're getting less SEO traffic because they don't scrape your jobs because they're all private. So let's talk about SEO a bit. 2,400 monthly visitors, that's decent. The site's been around for what, a year, 2 years?
Like a year and a half or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting to 2K is, fairly easy at this point. But what is your SEO strategy? And tell me about that backlink you just got.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to say one thing though, real quick.
Yeah.
Something cool that we did, something cool that we did with the paywall is we actually, with Jobworthy, we left all the jobs are indexable by default. So
Okay.
while you're only seeing the first 10 if you're not subscribed to the paywall, every single job is actually still indexed.
Hmm.
And so if you had the direct link, for example, you could still get to the job. And the reason that we did that was so that you would still get all the SEO benefits of having additional jobs on your job board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there are certain things that are hidden from Google, but jobs are not hidden from Google. So if you were to, for example, this job itself, if you had the direct link, now most people don't have the direct link, right? So you're not going to
Right.
find it so easily. But that's really important with paywall is, and whether you're using Jobworthy or something else or custom or whatever, you want to make sure that you leave the jobs indexable and so that they're not completely hidden from Google. That way you can ensure you're still getting that SEO juice
Oh, that's cool. I
on
didn't
your
realize
site.
you did that. So that's a smart way of doing it. And that's awesome. Okay. Excellent. Um, yeah. So what was the big SEO win, the domain?
Oh yeah, okay, so this is cool. Okay,
And you went
um,
from like this with this one link, you went from like 20 to 43.
one link I went from 16 to 43.
Holy crap. That's
To be honest, I've been doing building backlinks for a long time for all my projects and businesses, and I don't think I've ever had a jump that big before. So,
yeah, it's pretty rare.
needless to say, I immediately jumped on Twitter and tweeted. I don't know if anyone cared but me, but I was so excited.
Yeah.
So, yeah, here's what happened. So, okay, we use Stripe for Jobworthy. So Get
Yep.
Outdoor Jobs uses Stripe, and Stripe has a something called the climate contribution, and you can actually go into your Stripe account. Anyone can do this. You go into your Stripe account, and you can um, opt to give a percentage of your revenue to basically carbon offsets that Stripe kind of buys on your behalf, and
Yeah.
so you make the contribution. Um, I believe the lowest contribution you can make is like 0.1% or 0.5%. I don't remember which it is. I contribute 1% because I just like the reason I do that is because A, I think it's cool, and B, I wanted to choose a meaningful amount because um it supposedly, and I do believe this, improves your conversion rate because when people are going to check out on Stripe, it'll say this business gives 1% of their revenue to Stripe climate contribution.
Mhm.
Anyway, I read about this like a year, over a year ago, that if you do that, Stripe creates basically like a little climate page on your behalf that shows the amount of contributions you make, and it's a little blurb about what this program is. And on that page is a back button to go back to your website. So it's
Oh,
like, it's like a Stripe subdomain. It's like climate.stripe.com slash
yep.
a string of characters, which is your custom Stripe climate page, and the back button is to your root domain, your main website. So I read about this a long time ago, and I thought, what the hell? It'll increase my conversion rate by having it. So and it's a cool thing to do. I don't mind like to give some money, and so I turned it on, and I thought maybe I get the backlink out of it. Well, a year goes by. I had completely forgotten about this. I'd forgotten that I'd just given up on the backlink because I checked a
Yep.
million times and I never got the backlink. And usually sometimes things can take a long time to index, but over a year, I mean, it was like this will never happen. And I checked so many times. I was like, am I doing something wrong? Did I not enable it correctly? Anyway, I don't know why, but it finally got indexed. And I log into Ahrefs and I see this massive jump from 16 to 43 on my domain rating in Ahrefs. And I'm like, what is this a mistake? What's going on? And I immediately I get in there, I start sorting, by newest backlink, like what backlink must I have gotten? Was it a bunch of them all at once? I don't know. And sure enough, it was that Stripe climate backlink that just got indexed 3 days before. And Stripe is like getting a backlink from Stripe is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a do follow backlink. So anyway, that's the story of how I more than doubled
Wow.
my domain rating
But it
in
took you like a year to get it though.
yeah. So I would say, look, I mean, to anyone listening, if you want a really awesome backlink like this,
Mm.
go for it.
Yeah.
Don't hold your breath about getting it indexed. And I don't know if I did something, or maybe, you know, maybe Google was overall happy with the performance of my site in general and then made more
Mm.
of an effort to, index backlinks. I don't know. It's kind of impossible to say,
Yeah.
but that's what happened. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Hey, one more question about the job one, and we'll talk about Jobberly. What have you what do you know now you wish you knew before you started Get Outdoor Jobs?
Ooh, that could be a long list, but
Top of mind, yeah.
I mean, um, well, okay, I'll tell you what I think. To be fair, I did kind of know this, but I think it carries much more weight and importance to me now than it did even a year and a half ago when I was starting on Get Outdoor Jobs. Is just the importance of backlinks, and I think I've gone through periods of weeks or months where I slack on it and I just don't think about backlinks. But building backlinks, and look, it's not just about getting a crazy Stripe backlink. I mean, really just the best practices of trying to get relevant, good quality backlinks, and to build your profile. I mean, look, it's pretty well known and documented that Google really takes it's a very strong signal to Google, the number of other domains pointing back to your domain.
Yeah.
It's one of the strongest signals that they have to go on. And it's super important. And I wish I had paid it more mind in the beginning for sure, because I was a little lazy about it.
Mhm.
And then I think probably writing quality blog articles and content as well. This top 50 outdoor companies that page you were just on,
Yeah.
that page ranks number 1 for best outdoor companies to work for,
Oh,
which is
nice.
not like it's not a huge amount of search volume for that. But if I had spent more time on quality articles like this, I
Hmm.
think I would have had a lot better results faster. But this page alone brings in, probably, I don't know, 20% of my traffic or something like that. So it's like it's worth it to put effort into this stuff, and not just a generic AI written thing.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I did use AI to help me write this, but I did a lot of work on it as
Mm.
well.
Yeah.
Um,
In
and
fact,
and so
every niche job board, Kyle, should have a page like this for whatever their niche is, in my
for sure.
opinion. Like that's kind of SEO 101 there. Hey, by the way, this little pop-up down here on the right on the left, is that part of Jobboardly or is that Stripe powered or what is this? Does someone
No,
subscribe?
this is a third party widget. I
Mm.
believe it's called Sales Pop. I think it's
Sales pop?
salespop.io. Yeah. Basically
Mm.
you just connect to your Stripe account,
Yep.
which it's fairly easy to do. And then it just gives it read access to Stripe, and it'll just display. So these are actual real um,
Yeah.
payments that are being processed by Stripe on my behalf, and all it is it has read access, and it just displays the most recent activity.
No, I love that because it shows activity. People are paying for stuff, so it just brings more credibility to your site. Your site, you know?
Exactly, exactly. I mean, speaking of things to focus on, it's like social proof,
Hmm.
creating social proof. In other words, are other people using this? Trust and urgency are the 3 things, in my opinion, you can never have enough of.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And the fact that you have your face is on the homepage here is even like I love that too. Another reason like I love founder led job board where they put their face as part of the site and yeah, it's that's also credibility as well right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is becoming more and more important. I mean, even Google, like recently, Google has given less traffic to backfilled job boards that,
Yeah.
we've talked about this. Like, this is like big news. Um, um, but that's not all, actually, that's not doom and gloom at all. It just means that you have to focus on more fundamentals. And one of the most fundamental things you can do is Google has something called EEAT, and it's their basically kind of guideline for creating a website that has authority to it and authenticity.
Hmm.
Um, And when I say authenticity, Google wants to know who is the actual human being person behind this website. And they want you to include who you are. They want you to include an about page with a link to your LinkedIn, with a
Hmm.
link to your Twitter, any signals that you can send to Google that say, hey, I'm a real person who really built this website. It's not just generic. Those are really strong signals to Google, and they will help you a lot in your SEO. So I
Totally.
do everything. I put myself front and center on almost
Mhm.
every business that I do because I want people to know, like, I'm a real person behind this. I'm here to help you. I am just trying my best, like everybody else, to make cool products that people like. That's it.
Definitely. Definitely. Let's talk about job board, your job board software business. You started before, I assume before I get out our job. What was the initiative around the software itself?
Yeah, so I mean, we wanted to build job board software that made it simple and easy for anyone to launch a niche job board. I think we've succeeded in that. Like, I'm super proud of what we built, and we're still relatively new. So we've been at this for a couple of years. We've shipped tons of new features, and basically, yeah, with Jobboardly, there's a couple of things that are unique. We have some really amazing backfilling tools that allow you to backfill your job board really easily and powerfully with, like, we have a database that we um um
How big is that database? How many jobs can you pick from?
yeah, it's about 7 million active jobs with, I mean, hundreds of thousands of new jobs being added every month,
Yep.
and really daily new jobs are added, and we have jobs all over the world, and so you can literally in just a couple of clicks backfill your job board in almost any niche. I mean, there are some that are harder than others.
Yep.
um, And then we also do something a little unique, which is we have a one-time payment or lifetime access plan. So we actually just increased the price on this, but
Hmm.
so it's 395, and you pay once and it's yours to use forever. Like, um,
That's the best deal in
there's
the job board software business. Put it that way.
Yeah, it is. We actually just raised the price from 297. So, we're as we're maturing and growing and building up the platform,
Yep.
it's we're trying to make sure the price reflects the value that we're offering. We also have, this is new, but we also have a subscription as well now. So for less, 199 a year, you can start for a bit cheaper on a subscription. And yeah, it makes us really unique, I think. And I think a lot of people really like the lifetime access. People are, sometimes a little tired of subscriptions.
Sure. Yeah.
And, this is like, and look, like building a job board is a long process. You're not going to have results from day one. You need to put in the work, work on your SEO, work on fundamentals. Um, and sometimes it just takes time to build up your domain itself.
Yeah.
So
I tell my new clients, you're looking at a 1 to 2 year project here just to build a foundation of a business. And,
yeah, yeah, I think that's so
you
true. It's true of
have to
every
think about
business,
it that way.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, so anyway, I think the lifetime really helps with that because you can, um, it takes a little off the mental load,
Yeah,
right? To know that, okay, I'm locked in. But yeah, so
totally.
we have a lot of great features. We have the paywall that you saw, also just regular standard monetization, which is paying for job posts and things like that.
Yep. Yep. Anything new coming out on job board? What's your next feature you're working on?
All right, I'll tell you what we just shipped today, like literally a
Oh,
few hours ago,
okay.
is Google Indexing API. So this is really cool, something we've been working on for a long time. If you don't know what for the viewers, if you don't know what it is, it's basically Google has an indexing API that allows you to get your job postings indexed faster by going kind of directly to the source. It's a really advanced feature and can really improve traffic a lot. It's basically sending to the Google API immediately new job posts that come in. And we've been working on it for a long time, and it just shipped today. So I would say that has to be top of the list right now.
Awesome. Well, great job, Kyle. Your buddy Jason there, co-founder. So, yeah, I appreciate your time today, Kyle. Thanks for sharing your story on Get Outdoor Jobs. And It's great to see. I love to see successful job board owners out there, and that's what my show's all about. So good luck with it, and definitely keep us informed as to what's going on with Job Boardly as well.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Will do. It was really nice to be here, and um, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, we'll link to you. We'll get you some more backlinks there when I put it out, and appreciate the time,
Awesome.
and thanks a lot.
Cheers.